want to give you a couple letters. The first letter is U. There's no sense of urgency in our community. We're not recognizing that the house is on fire, and we're not responding with a sense of urgency like we should in order to address this critical situation that unfortunately we're going to give to our children. Our children are going to inherit a really bad situation, and they're really going to be upset with us because meanwhile we're still acting like everything is okay. And we're just doing the best that we can to make our little box as comfortable as we can, even though it's shrinking and it's shrinking and it's shrinking. So we have to have a sense of urgency. You know, Doc, what can you do? You know, help me out. And the strangest thing in our community is, have we just all decided that God doesn't know how to make kidneys anymore? And that's why kidney dialysis clinics are being built all around our community so that they can filter our blood? Are we okay accepting that something that God has done, obviously, because we're not changing what we're doing. In addition to that, have we just accepted that God doesn't know how to make pancreases? And that's why everybody's got diabetes. God doesn't know how to make hearts. So that's why everybody's got high blood pressure and heart disease and heart conditions. You know, something's wrong that we're not recognizing this next word that I'm about to go to, which is denial. So letter D for denial. We're denying the fact that this is one of the worst times on the planet for our people. And we think it's okay because we're in Prince George's County. Go to Mississippi or Alabama, or go down this way on Central Avenue, down towards DC. It is the worst warfare that we've been in ever. And it's so subtle that you can act like you're making it and you're doing all right, and we're not. Because somebody has decided that I can alter the health and well-being of a community by altering their food. Now, I would go back to letter U, and I would say, do you have a sense of urgency about the situation that we know that we're addressing? You know, with regard to our health and well-being, knowing that although Roland looks good, because he reminds us of that all the time, he looks good, and he can still get a phone number, and he's still all of that. He would look so much better if he wasn't carrying that other person around with him. I didn't pay them to clap. So you have to have a sense of urgency.
But how do you know what I look?
Because the body tells me. Your body tells me.
You knew me.
No.
Oh, okay.
Your body, I communicate with your body, and I'm looking at your body, and I'm saying, okay, I'm clear. I know. And I'm doing everything I can to help y'all down there. But it's up to him and the decisions that he's making with regard to what he's consuming. Now, it will be your food. It will also be your stress level. Because if you're stressed, stress will override proper digestion. So you'll find yourself being stressed and not able to properly digest. Then you find yourself storing what didn't get properly digested in fat cells in your body. But you have to treat this literally like this is the most urgent thing in your space. And you have to sacrifice some of the things that you like, some of the things that make you feel good. It ain't about that no more, brother. It's time for you to now eat for the heart, the liver, the pancreas, the spleen, the kidneys, the brain, the lungs. You know, it wasn't but a couple days ago that you called me up and you was in pain, right? One of them organs was screaming, wasn't it? They were screaming loud.
You didn't want me to know that.
It was the kidney stones, Mom. You know.
It's the kidney stones. And why do you get kidney stones? Because you're taking in too much acid, and your body then solidifies the acid with calcium so that it doesn't just cause you to have to go into a coma, because your body can't go but between a certain pH level and be healthy. Otherwise, you go into a coma. So your body's solidifying that acid, and it ends up being a stone in the gallbladder or the kidneys or somewhere.
All right,
else.
folks, you see why I hang around them? Let's give Dr. Baruch a hand.
Thank you, sir. And it's all out of love, because I love him. I didn't used to love him when I was in high school with him. Maybe, but I definitely love him now.
All right, brother. Thanks, man. Love you too, brother. All right, Mr. Mark, I want you on more. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have a few dignitaries in the house tonight. They're going to be a little mad at me because I mentioned them, so I just want to do this real quickly. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to acknowledge, and if you would, give a hand to someone who recently ran for Maryland State Delegate here in the Prince George's area and was on my show a couple of weeks ago, ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Terry Goolsby. And she had a chance to tell me all the wonderful things about running for office. And I just prayed for her, and I said, wow, you know what? It takes a heck of a person to do that kind of thing. And she promised me that she'd come back, and she's back to continue to support our show. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Mark, welcome back.
What's up, man?
It's good to see you, man.
It's good to be here.
I got hazed.
You did. To tell you, put you in the cut, all of that good stuff. But it's out of love, though. I mean, here's the deal.
Damn it, love me less.
I felt guilty. I thought I needed to go to confession.
I saw you over there.
I'm sorry about that burger.
Every time I said something, you were like,
oh. No, because he hitting home. I mean, it's truthful. And it's unfortunately what we need to hear. And it's the discussion we don't have.
Right. Well, that's the main thing. I mean, one is that this deep discussion that we don't have. And if I don't do this show, we won't have this discussion because everybody's tuning in Dr. Oz. And he's not talking about this. And folks won't tell other folks about the Roland Grimes show where we talk about real things like your finance, like what it takes to become a student athlete and beyond, and about what we need to do about our nutrition and our health care from a very, very pragmatic standpoint, especially folks who look like us.
Absolutely.
Just doesn't happen, but now it does. So we're going to keep the party going, folks. To my left, and you're right, I want to introduce you to one of, I'm going to embarrass him. One of the finest young men I've ever had an opportunity to help educate and to coach. Actually, our relationship started some 40 or so years ago. His father and I were P-Funk buddies. We used to go see the Mothership Land at the Capitol Center with my good friend Poochie Davis and Mr. Coleman, Big Zach back then. We used to go. When the Capitol Center was open and and the spaceship would land and Zach would be losing his mind. And Zach was bigger than me and he'd jump up and down. We had to carry him out because he'd fall out when George came out and sang One Nation. And we had a heck of a time, but I befriended his family. His grandmother used to invite me over for dinner. And back then I used to be able to eat soul food without getting screamed on by Dr. Baruch. Thanks, Mom. And all that good stuff. So they were in right around Forestville, Maryland at that time. But Zach and I maintained our friendship. And then one day, as a guidance counselor at Bishop McNamara High School, this joker walked in, all 6'5", 6, 7 inches of him, walked by me, and I said, "Damn, you look familiar." And I just couldn't place him. And then one day, his father came in and looked at each other and said, "Man, I know you. We used to funk together." I said, "Yeah, you Zach." He said, "Yeah, you're Bubba." And I said, "What you doing?" He said, "I got a son." "Which one is your son?" "That one." I said, "Oh." So at the time, I wanted to put him at defensive end because I was coaching the defensive line. I'm still upset about that, man. But Coach Bevel would not let me put him at defensive end. He kept me at wide receiver. I told Coach Bevel he was out of his blazing mind. But then he ended up being an all-metropolitan, all-American wide receiver for Bishop McNamara High School, went to Rutgers University, and has recently signed a contract to join the New Orleans Saints NFL football team. Ladies and gentlemen. All right, put your hands together for Mr. Brandon Coleman. Man, I love it.
Happy birthday, man.
Man, I appreciate that, man. You spent a couple with me in summer camp, didn't you?
Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna slide that mic up to you. However you do it, just do it, man. There's no...
Get it done?
Yeah, just,
all right.
That's it. Hey, you tell me you were a football player, get off the stage, man.
I'm out.
Brandon. Man, do you have a middle name?
James.
No, seriously, what's your middle name?
Brandon James.
Brandon James Coleman.
Yeah, they only say that when I'm in trouble.
When your daddy says Brandon James.
My mom.
Oh, your mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
and you know it's time?
Don't be saying that.
Don't you get nervous? I see your heart pumping.
Yeah.
Dr. Baruch better come here and give him a plunger. I said, Brandon James Cole, the joker's heart there like this. I said, man. So look, you were just fresh off the practice field in New Orleans, Louisiana. Now, was it actually in New Orleans?
Down,
Man, I can't even say the word New Orleans. How do they say it?
Down south, they say New Orleans.
New Orleans, Louisiana.
New Orleans.
Wow, okay. All right. Anybody have a question before I ask mine? Man, what was that experience like running around catching passes from whoever the heck you were catching passes with down in New Orleans?
It was truly a blessing, first of all. It was a very humbling experience for me to just be down there in that environment. And I was catching passes from Drew Brees himself, and that was an honor in itself. You know, everybody can't say that. And it was just, like I said before, it was a blessing, and just to be down there, and I'm thankful for the opportunity.
So you actually stayed down there longer than you were required, is that correct?
The rookies had to stay a little bit longer than the veterans, so I mean, I stayed the full amount of time that I was required.
Okay, so now, for those who don't know, what does that mean? You're a rookie, you have a rookie minicamp, and then you have explain the difference between rookies and minicamp and like everybody else.
Rookies come in before, and we have a 3-day camp, is what they call rookie minicamp, is for different teams to take places on different days. But all the rookies come together that they signed or that they drafted, or that they just want to come in just to have a camp, just kind of like showcase yourself, showcase your talent for the weekend. For all the coaches, it's kind of like a clinic, and then that takes place first, and then OTAs kick off after that. Organized team activities. It's not really practice because you can't call it practice, but so they just made up a fancy name for it and called it OTAs. It's basically what it is. Then after that, we have veteran minicamp, which is regular minicamp. All the vets come in, and we treat it as a regular practice, how it was in rookie minicamp.
Okay, super. I'm gonna give a brother a chance to dab himself a little bit. I know sitting next to me brings back memories, so he's sweating because like.
Nah, you said James, and I'm sweating right now.
So now, Mark, I'm gonna keep going for a minute, and then I'll call you in.
I'm right here, man. Go for it.
I'll get you in a second. Look, you had an opportunity to play in I think it was the Under Armour All-American game.
I did.
In high school. Mm-hmm. For those who had a chance to watch it on ESPN, etc., what kinds of things were you there for a week, give or take?
Yeah, I don't want to act like it was so long ago, but it really was. I think I was down there for at least 5 days. They just had us down there doing different events.
Now, I know you have to be politically correct,
yeah,
but I just want to ask you, in your own indelible words, what kind of things did you learn in terms of football and the difference between guys who were coming from the West Coast, I'm going Midwest,
I got you.
down south? Let's talk about it.
Just to get out of the northeastern region and just to go down to a place where everybody comes from throughout the country, and just to showcase their talents. Basically, was the Under Armour All-American game was a showcase of the nation's top high school football players, and they still do it to this day. And basically, you just get to see everybody else in the country, like see everybody that ESPN ranks as top 150 players or however you want to name it. But it's just a good experience for you as a competitor to see, who you're going up against, whether it's other receivers or whether it's defensive backs that you're going to have to face in that game and in the future in your college career.
Now, did you see any distinction between the way that the players down south, Midwest, West Coast approach the game compared to guys?
The biggest difference is the mentality.
What do you mean?
On and off the field, and I give a lot of credit to my coaches from high school as just preparing me mentally, just how to conduct myself and have respect for the game, and I think that's what it's all about.
We can jump in because I was sitting here listening to Roland talk, because that's what we do, and you talked about the preparation to deal with and be the student and the person that you need to be. And what comes to mind, unfortunately for me, is I'm a Cleveland Browns fan.
Okay.
And the new quarterback, I won't say his name, we all know who he is.
Mm-hmm. I know.
What would you say to athletes coming behind? I don't want to get into what he's doing because I have a whole other opinion on how they're handling that.
Yeah.
What would you tell the young athletes now about that type of situation to prepare themselves for it?
Personally, I shied away from all that attention, that extra attention. Roland can tell you that, and my father, kind of just raised me, just kind of let my plate, do all the talking, and I really didn't have to do anything other than that. But my advice to the kids growing up now is just to do that. Just let all your on the field actions do all your talking, and there's no need to get caught up into that whole other stage, because it can get bigger than what you want it to be.
That's great advice. Great advice.
You know, one of the things that comes to mind as you were talking, and we're going to take a quick station break as you wrap up, but one of the things that came to mind, you and I had the opportunity, and I want to thank you again, man, for allowing me to be your guidance counselor for a few years, man.
Great experience.
And I'm going to take you back for a second, man. One day you were sitting in my office.
Mm-hmm.
Well, many days you were, but one particular day you were sitting in my office. And it was right after the football season and right after you came back from an Armour game, and you were playing basketball. And you had this look on your face. And I looked at you and I said, "You okay?" And you said, "Yeah." And I said, "Everybody wants your life right now but you." And you said, "Yeah." For those folks who are even watching high school athletes who are involved in athletics year round and doing this grind from sport to sport to sport to sport, what kind of toll did that take on you your senior year in high school, in addition to the fact that all of us were pulling on you and asking you to be here and do that and talk on our behalf? Let's talk about the downside of this a little bit. What effect did that have on you at that time?
Well, first of all, you're in the light playing football and then playing basketball and doing all these sports all year round. But you know, the biggest thing with me was, you know, all the stuff behind the scenes that your average guy doesn't know about, and with the extra time that you put in. And I'm talking about just regular homework and study groups, and especially your senior year, you got the senior thesis paper that you got to work on, and you stressing over a rival basketball game, and you're worried about the game plan, and you just got to find a way to balance all that stuff, and it comes down to having all your priorities straight. And for me, I had a great foundation with my parents and a good support system with my guidance counselor to just kind of put those things in the check for me. And I think that the best way to do that is just to sit down and take a deep breath sometimes. You know, we're always on the go doing whatever we want to do with our lives, but it's the best thing to do sometimes is sit down, take a deep breath, and then put things into perspective and move forward from there.
So you're in the middle of a football season, and you're playing for the Rutgers University Scarlet Knights.
Scarlet Knights, yeah.
How does one take a moment to get a breath during the season, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It definitely increases from high school to college. That level of intensity definitely increases. But the moment you take for a breath, sometimes you get paranoid and think you're going to get caught and somebody's going to, you know, move past you. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you still need that breath, or you're going to wear yourself out. And I found myself taking breaths sometimes on our off days, or definitely when we have bye weekends. We really got to just learn to listen to yourself, listen to your body, sit down for a second, and then when it's time to get back to work, get back to work. You know, you can't. I'm not saying take 2 months off. Nah, I mean your body's gonna be all right. You know, especially at a young age. All the older guys are always talking about. All the older guys, they always say, "Oh, you're young. You got a young motor. You shouldn't be tired." You know, but all the things that we partake in, and all the extracurricular activities that we do, all the extra work that we do day in and day out, like you said, it plays a toll on our bodies, and we have to start listening to our bodies.
And your mind, I heard from the audience, and the mind.
Your mind gets exhausted, and when you play that battle with your mind and you listening to your mind, it's a person talking up here, and I can't explain it other than that. And you just really have to have a conversation with that person. Like, you got to push yourself to that next level, and everybody does it, no matter what your profession is.
It's interesting to hear.
I told you that.
I know you did. It's interesting to hear, especially from an elite athlete, which you are.
Thank you.
and you too, Brandon, is that young athletes, and you know what, skip that. Parents need to hear from you that this is what they need, because the reason we push or you get pushed isn't because of you 12, 13, and 14, it's because of us.
Right.
We're trying to get this next level and get this scholarship and that, but you're 0.001% of the people who actually made it to the pros. They don't talk about sitting down and relaxing and getting your mind right and resting and think.
I want to put out there just for the record, my parents were never the pushy type, and I always wanted to do everything I wanted to do, and they were just there to support as a support system.
I can hear that, but I'm saying you were one of the blessed ones.
Yes.
The other ones don't get that because they're sitting in the room stressing because if I don't make this, mama,
right.
You know.
Yeah, I have seen that in high school. I've seen it in college. And it's unfortunate.
I've seen kids crack.
It's an unfortunate thing to go through, and I consider myself blessed because I didn't. But I like when I get a chance to give wisdom back to younger kids. I just try to hit home on that. Even when I get to talk to parents, you know, if I go to a football field and talk to parents after, you know, I speak on that.
Well, look, we were to take a station break. I had the chance to meet your mom, sit down with her, and talk a lot, and see where you get some of the wisdom from.
Yeah.
I wasn't worried about your daddy because he and I were listening to Funkadelic records, so we know where he got his from.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're going to take a quick station break. We're going to be back. Stop making that face, monkeys, and want to talk about P-Funk. We'll be back in a few minutes. Y'all sit tight. Roll above the grounds, roll the ground. Not just sports and entertainment show, Roll Ground Show Live. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, thank you, folks. Roland Grimes Show Live. Not just sports entertainment, my good friend, Mr. Mark, the Speaker Man Wiggins, and also to my left, Mr. Brandon Coleman. I have on the phone with me from Florida a gentleman who does a sports segment down there, and we want to continue to work to become as national, international as we can, ladies and gentlemen. I have Mr. Dejournay Bland on the phone with me. Dejournay Bland, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you, Roland?
I'm terrific. Look, you had a couple of questions as we were talking earlier to pose to Mr. Coleman, and I wanted to give you an opportunity before we break to fire away, man, and because you're into the sports thing a lot more than I am at this point. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, well, looking at, he had one more year of eligibility at Rutgers, and I was just wanting to know, and maybe you can express this to the fans as well, what went into you making that decision, and was the meniscus tear part of that, or factored into that particular decision?
Okay, well, for those of you who couldn't hear his question, he asked me why I chose to leave school early and if my surgery had anything to do with that. So I had surgery, to give you our background information, I had surgery on my right meniscus in March 2013, and I was going into my redshirt junior year. So after the redshirt junior year, I have another year eligibility left, but I opted out to enter the NFL draft. I felt as though I have 9 credits left to finish, but so I looked at that and I was like, okay, there's not a lot left to finish. Most guys leave with like 50 plus credits left, and it's not, you know, those guys really just don't come back nowadays. But I talked about it with my parents, and I thought that was the best decision for me. Was to I was confident in myself, first of all, and I prayed on it, and I was ready to move on to the next level.
Brian? Delusion? Yes.
After doing that, and we get into the draft, a lot of different things had you projected as a third round pick, but you ended up going undrafted, which me
those of you who couldn't hear the question, he asked what my game plan was heading into the draft. I was projected a mid-round pick, but things didn't go out that way, and I think a lot of teams were maybe possibly scared off because of my need and to take a chance on me. I can't control that. Only thing I can control is get myself in the best physical health that I can, doing the best that I can on the interviews. It's just a job. It's a job interview, and I did everything in my power along with my agency and to help me prepare for this moment. And I can't dwell on the fact that I didn't get drafted. I still have an opportunity to make the 53-man roster, and that's all I can ask for. And I'm going to work my tail off to make that 53-man roster.
Black, you got one more question for us?
Yeah, now, OTAs has the mid-camp have passed by. As you know, I'm here in the panhandle of Florida, not too far from New Orleans, and I'm sure you've experienced the heat.
Lost him.
So the question was in terms of making the adjustment to go from the north to the south playing ball, what kind of impact did the heat have on you and some of the people you were involved with?
Going from New Jersey down all the way down to Louisiana was definitely something I thought about in the process, because in free agency you get a chance to make your own decision, basically. And I thought that was the best situation for me, to actually look at the pros and the cons of each team and where I best have a chance to make the 53-man. But the heat experience is something you can't even explain. Like, everybody's sweating right now, but we just this is nothing right now down in New Orleans.
Mark, we're going to wrap things up. Got a question for us about it? Comment?
Just a comment. Again, I appreciate your candor and your insight, and especially on the issues. Again, is why we do this show that people don't talk about. And I hope the parents and young athletes are listening, and I encourage you to continue to, when you get that platform, to talk to those kids, not just about the workout and physical part, but the mental part of the game, and how to take care of yourself that way, along with your health and all that kind of good stuff, so they can be the best athlete and get the opportunity to try to make someone's team, someone's roster along with academics, and open doors for them that weren't open before.
Definitely.
Question?
Yes, what was what is your major at Rutgers, and what thoughts have you given to your career after football? Because we know you've had a long, successful football career, but after that, have you had any thoughts of what you'd like to do?
Definitely. Great question. My major at Rutgers University is management of labor relations. For those who don't know what that is, it's kind of just getting into the union management negotiation. What happened with the NFL a couple years ago with the lockout, that kind of struck my interest, and I kind of started leaning towards that path. And it's an opportunity for me to still stay in the game after I'm done, after I hang up the cleats. So the thought that I have put into my future when football is done is I could see myself as a member of the NFL Players Association, representing the union, basically. So I think that I've already started networking with members of the Players Association because they're right in D.C., and I had that to my advantage being a DMV boy. I think that I will use that to my advantage, and I will continue to show my face in the building, and just to maybe next offseason I will go in there and do an internship for a couple weeks if time permits and my schedule permits. So things like that, I've already started to try to formulate how I want my life to go after I hang up my cleats.
Another question? Yes.
A statement, maybe you're suffering in the summertime, but just think about October, November, December, and January, and how nice it will be if you're in New Orleans.
Oh yeah, I'm not complaining about New Orleans at all. I made the decision to go down there, so I'm excited for all year round.
Question in the back?
How you doing? I'm a Washingtonian. Do you have a favorite NFL team, and what NFL receiver did you kind of emulate your talent behind?
It's a great question. I didn't grow up liking any team. My family is a big Redskins fan, but I just kind of went on and just loved the game itself. I didn't really want to get caught up into cheering for one team and get happy when they won and get sad when they lost. And I just I avoid a lot of arguments that way. And you get caught up in so many arguments if you have a favorite team. So I just I'm not with the confrontation. But growing up, my favorite receiver to watch was definitely all the greats, Jerry Rice and Randy Moss, and even now I've been following Calvin Johnson since I was in high school, which is the reason why I wore 21. I don't know if you ever knew that, because I wore 21 at Georgia Tech.
No, matter of fact, I didn't. I thought it was Sean Taylor.
Nah, I mean, it was a combination of both.
Because you played safety.
I played safety for those who didn't.
Man, don't look at me like that when I ask you a question.
I'm just saying.
You see, look at me when he said safety, he's like, I played safety, like I still hit you.
Yeah, I
know you still.
Okay. It's your birthday.
All right, for those who don't know, when the man said he'll still come downhill and fill the gap, I'm the guy with the ball coming through the gap. He's running at me full speed to fill it.
Yeah.
I love you too, brother.
I love you too.
Any other questions? All right, look, meeting of the minds, my good friend Mark the Speaker Man Wiggins, my young brother and son, Mr. Brandon Coleman, on his way back to New Orleans in a couple of weeks to start training camp. Do me a favor, if you would, put your hands together for both of these. Once again, you can follow all we do on GrimesNation.com, www.grimesnation.com. Good night, God bless, and I love you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for tuning in. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Bubba.
Happy birthday to you.
No birthday.
Big fun.
That's some big cookies.
Always.